Hello, James Vonish here with another one of our River Field Studies scholars, Elise Chapman. Elise is at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, where she's a lecturer in the Department of Biology, Geology, and Environmental Science. She got her undergraduate at UTC, when she'll tell us a little bit about that later. But she got her master's degree at Tulane, and then she went to get her PhD at the University of Alabama. Thank you for joining us, Elise.
Hey, James, good to be with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So Elise, we're just gonna dive into a few questions here to get to know a little bit more about you. And the first one that I have is to just tell me a little bit more about your background, in particular, how it shaped your approach to teaching in general, and then as relevant to specifically teaching about river stuff.
Sure. So my educational development took a winding road through organismal biology here at UTC. And then through a couple of graduate programs. I did swamp work while I was at Tulane, but then I really found my groove at the University of Alabama with Ryan Sponseller and Jennifer Edmonds, doing work on full ecosystem measurements of carbon and nutrient dynamics. And they integrate processes at whole reach scales. And so I was really interested in that scope. And that led me to be interested in how these big picture concepts in biology can be connected and provide a really interesting perspective for undergraduate education. And so that's generally how I approach delivering my classes, whether it be introductory biology classes to the more specialized courses that I'm able to teach to upperclassmen majors.
Oh, that's awesome that you're able to sort of bring that perspective that you gained from your research background in graduate studies right into the undergraduate classroom. And so sort of building from that, then, as a participant in our River Scholars, curriculum this year or program, what is it that you hope you might gain from it, and how it would support your work there at UTC?
Sure. So one of the things that UTC does a great job of is connecting our students to the community. And right now that's mainly focused in the biology department in our field work at an organismal level with some of our professors that do work in fish work or bird work, even some fungus work with Dr. Craddock. And particularly of interest to me was our community garden work with Dr. Barbosa. But I think we're missing an opportunity because we're right here on the Tennessee River, which is a large reservoir system, and we're just a stone's throw away from lots of different rivers. And so I think we're missing that opportunity to use the river to increase our undergraduate biology students' sense of place here. And they're missing like an integral part of what it is to support life in these complex ecosystems when they're missing that connection to the river that's right here in our backyard. And so I'm excited to be a part of the River Management Society's River Studies and Leadership Certificate that we're now offering here at UTC. And through the River Scholars Program with our River Field Studies Network, we're working mainly at the lesson scale. And those are built on best practices and meet rigorous standards of the River Field Studies Network to have these multidisciplinary integrated kinds of perspective, even at the small lesson scale. But because of that, they link together really beautifully. And I think it's going to really help me develop a high quality course or a couple of courses that can serve to introduce our students to this River Studies certificate program, and then maybe even act as a capstone once they've finished that certificate program. And so it's not just exciting to be a part of like-minded River Scholars, but I also think that I can contribute and then use those resources to develop a really high quality course. My hope is that students can connect to rivers the way I always have.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I hope that we can help you realize those goals, because that's exactly what we aspire to. I mean, that's exactly what you just described. So hopefully we can all get there together.
Sure
last one's lighter hearted question. So this is probably not one you expected, but what would your spirit animal be?
So it's really easy for me. I think I probably was meant to be a fish. So you know how people can self-identify? I think I would self-identify as a fish, maybe like a bluegill. Something that's common in these reservoir systems around here, sunfish. And I think I feel really comfortable in the water, and I've been really privileged to spend a decent amount of my life Actually, one of the reasons that I want students to feel belonging and a sense of connection to the rivers around here is while I was a student at UTC, I used to sneak away from campus and drive up to the Ocoee River with my father and go whitewater kayaking, and then sneak back in to make it in time for, those anatomy lab study sessions. And so I'm really excited to link students to the river and make it more accessible to them so that they can have that be a part of their story also.
Well, that's awesome. It sounds like UTC was a great landscape where to try to plant a river field studies scholar, but also the river management's river studies and leadership certificate program, because you have access to all of those great habitats and river experiences. So that's really great. Well, thanks, Elise, for taking some time. It's really good to get to know you a little bit more and look forward to working with you throughout the rest of the year.
Thanks, James.
Take care. Bye-bye.